Hello students, in today's class we are going to discuss about memory systems, sensory short-term and long-term memories. We have already started with the topic of sensory memories, but we are yet to finish short-term and long-term memories. So let us begin with our class for today. So according to the stage model, there are three memory systems. That is your sensory memory, then the short-term memory, and the long-term memory. Each of the systems has different features and performs different functions with respect to the sensory inputs. The sensory inputs that we receive from outside. Okay. So now let us study about these memory systems one by one. So the first one is your sensory memory. So first, when the information comes, it first enters your sensory memory. Okay. So sensory memory has a large capacity. Okay, but it is for a very short duration, which is less than a second. It registers information very accurately. Okay, but again, it is of a very short time. So often the system is referred to as sensory memories or sensory registers because information from all the senses are registered here as exact replica of the stimulus. So the way it is registered the exact same way. Okay, so in this particular system, there is no manipulation of whatever information you are receiving from outside. You receive it the way it is, the exact replica, okay? But otherwise, we do have this tendency of manipulating information. But here in sensory memory, we receive it as the exact replica. So now, for example, if you have experienced visual after images, okay, so you are looking at a light and you just move your eyes from the light, but after that also you are going to see the trail of light, okay, even if the bulb is switched off, or if you are hearing some reverberation of sound, but when the sound has stopped also, then also you will be familiar with that sound. Okay, so that is your that is stored in your sensory memory. That's why you are experiencing visual after images, or you are experiencing the sound even though the sound has ceased. Okay, so this is your sensory memory. So sensory memory has a large capacity, but the duration is very small. Okay, and it stores information the way it is, like the exact replica. There is no manipulation here. Okay. After that comes your short-term memory. So short-term memory is the second memory store. Okay, and it is abbreviated as STM. Okay. So it holds small amount of information for a brief period of time, usually for 30 seconds or less. So Atkinson and Shiffrin propose that information in STM is primarily encoded acoustically, that is in terms of sound, and unless rehearsed continuously, it may get lost from the STM in less than 30 seconds. So according to Atkinson and Shiffrin, according to them, what happens in short-term memory is that whatever information you are collecting, you are encoding, it is rehearsed. Okay, it is rehearsed continuously. You do not understand or analyze the information here, but rather than that, you take it in terms of sound and rehearse it, and then you remember it for 30 seconds or less. Okay, so here you do not, according to this particular model, here you do not analyze or draw meaning out of the information you have collected. Rather you rehearse it through sound, and it gets lost after 30 seconds. Okay, so the STM here is fragile. STM is fragile, but it is not as fragile as sensory memory. Okay, because sensory memory decays automatically in less than a second. But when it comes to your short-term memory, it does stay for 30 seconds or less. If I tell you a number, then somehow you won't be analyzing the meaning, out of that particular number or something, but rather you will try to memorize it, rehearse it, and then remember it for like 30 seconds or less. Okay, so that is your STM. Now comes your long-term memory. Okay, so materials that survive the capacity and duration limitations of the STM finally enters the long-term memory. It is abbreviated as LTM, which has a vast capacity. Okay, so your LTM has a vast capacity. It is a permanent storehouse of all the information that may be as recent as what you ate for breakfast yesterday to as distant as how you celebrated your 6th birthday. Okay, so all the information, what did you have for breakfast today morning, or like how did you celebrate your birthday when you were 5 years old. So every information, every in memory that you have in your life is stored in your long-term memory. Okay, so it has been shown that once any information enters the long-term memory store, it is never forgotten because it gets encoded semantically. That is in terms of meaning that any information carries. Okay, so in long-term memory, the memory which enters it gets encoded semantically. Okay, so you draw meaning out of the information which you have collected rather than just rehearsing it continuously. Okay, you will draw associations, you will draw meaning out of whatever information you have collected, then only it gets stored in your long-term memory. Okay, and now about forgetting. Okay, we do forget things. Okay, so forgetting is not like that memory is erased from your mind. It's not like that. Okay, so it is rather a retrieval failure. Okay, you are unable to recall it. It's not that it has been erased from your memory. Okay, so you cannot retrieve the stored informations for various reasons. It doesn't get erased or it doesn't just vanish. Okay, so you will read about retrieval related forgetting in this chapter only later on. Okay, so now let us discuss about how does information travel from one store to another. Okay, we have talked about sensory memory, short-term memory, long-term memory. Okay, but then how do these informations travel from sensory memory to short-term memory and from short-term memory to long-term memory? Okay, so there is a process. So let us read about this whole process. So this process which helps memory travel from one store to another is known as control process. Okay, so control processes functions to monitor the flow of information through various memory stores. So all informations which our senses receive are not registered. So now think about it. We have so many informations, okay, around us. And what if we register all the informations? It is practically impossible, right? We cannot store all the information that our senses are receiving because we have a limited capacity also. Okay, so only that information which is attempted to enters the STM from sensory registered, and in that sense selective attention, which you have already read in your previous chapter. Okay, so selective attention is the first control process that decides what will travel from sensory registers to STM. Okay, so from sensory register to STM, selective attention is the control process which decides which information will travel to the STM memory store. Okay, so we do not register every information that our senses receive. Okay, we focus on particular things. Okay, we focus our attention on particular things. We select information to pay focus on, okay, and those informations uh, travels to your STM. Okay, so for example, now suppose I am talking, okay, you are listening to my voice, but then maybe birds outside your window are also chirping, but you choose to listen to my voice. Okay, so you are listening to my voice, I give you a number and you are trying to memorize it, and you are not paying attention to the birds which are chirping. Okay, so your senses are collecting that information as well, but birds chirping, that information is not going to travel to your STM, but what I am asking you to memorize, that is going to travel to your STM, because you are choosing to focus on my voice. Okay, so selective attention is the first control process which decides what information will travel to STM from sensory memory. Okay, so now the STM then sets into motion another control process of maintenance rehearsal to retain the information for as much time as required. Okay, so now what happens in STM, that is your short-term memory store. Here there is another control process which is known as maintenance rehearsal. Now I give you a number, so you have to rehearse it in order to remember it, even if it is for 30 seconds. Okay, I give you a number like 1867. So you have to repeat it, right? So that you remember it at least for 30 seconds. Okay, so this process is known as the maintenance rehearsal. Okay, so another control process which operates in STM to expand its capacity is chunking. Okay, so suppose now I give you a long number, okay, a longer number. I give you just 4-digit number, so it's very easy to remember it. But if I give you a longer number like 194719492004, okay, so this exceeds the capacity of your short-term memory. It is not possible to remember such a long number in such a short period of time. So what you can do is that you may create chunks. You can group them, okay, like 1947, 1949 and 2004, and remember them as certain years when India became independent or constitution was adopted. So you can remember it in certain ways like years. Okay, this thing we usually do it. Okay, remembering numbers in years, because it becomes easier for us to remember. So this process is known as your process of chunking, because we make them as groups, then it becomes easier for us to remember. Okay, so this is also another control process which happens in your short-term memory store. Okay, so now from the STM, information enters the long-term memory through elaborative rehearsals. So here we talked about selective attention, then maintenance rehearsals, chunking, and now comes your elaborative rehearsals. Now this happens when information enters the LTM from STM, and that the way it enters is through the process of elaborative rehearsals. Okay, so as against maintenance rehearsals which are carried through silent or vocal repetitions, this rehearsals attempts to connect the to be retained information to already existing information in long-term memory. Okay, so now in maintenance rehearsal, what we basically do is that I'm giving you some number or a set of words. So you do not really analyze it, draw meaning out of it, or make associations. Rather, what you do is that you keep on rehearsing it, okay, through vocal repetition or silent repetition, okay, then that's how you remember it. But when it comes to elaborative rehearsals, you connect it from the already existing information which is there in your long-term memory. Okay, so for now example, if you are asked to remember the meaning of word humanity, okay, so now if you connect with other concepts which are already there in your long-term memory like compassion, truth and benevolence, So you are connecting this word humanity with other concepts like compassion and truth. So this association with those words which are already stored in your LTM will help this new term humanity to get stored in your LTM easier. Okay, you will be able to store the meaning of humanity in your LTM um, by drawing associations with already remembered words which were there in your long-term memory. Okay, so in elaborative rehearsals what happens is that you try to attempt analyze the information in terms of various association it arouses. You are going to uh, make connections or associations. If there is a new fruit, you have to remember the features of that new fruit, the color and everything. So what you are going to do is that you are going to make the association of the new fruit with the already existing fruits that you know. So if there is a new species of fruits, then you are going to make associations. Oh, this looks like a mango. And the shape is like a mango and the taste is like a strawberry, like that. Okay, so you are going to make associations like that. Okay, so it involves organization of the incoming information in as many ways as possible. Okay, so you can expand the information in some kind of logical framework, link it to similar memories, or can create a mental image. So you can create an image or you can draw associations. Okay, so experiments were carried out to test the stage model of memory have produced mixed results. While some experiments show that STM and LTM are indeed two separate stores, other evidences have questioned their distinctiveness. Okay, so some experiments say that STM and LTM are two different separate memory stores, but some experiments say that these are the same memory store. Okay, you cannot differentiate between STM and LTM. Okay, so earlier it was shown that STM information is encoded acoustically. That is in terms of rehearsing it again and again without drawing or analyzing the meaning out of it. But and LTM is encoded semantically, that is drawing the meaning out of it, making associations. Okay, that way LTM is encoded. Okay, but later experimental evidences show that information can also be encoded semantically in STM and acoustically in LTM. That is by rehearsing by analyzing the information. Okay, we can store it in our STM and in LTM also without making associations, drawing meaning out of it. Then also if you keep on rehearsing a particular thing again and again without understanding the meaning also, sometimes it gets stored in LTM. Okay, if you try to recall certain information, if you are memorizing it without even drawing any associations or drawing the meaning out of it, sometimes information gets stored in your long-term memory. It does happen. Okay, so Salais and Warrington in the year 1970 had cited the case of a man known as KF who met with an accident and damaged a portion of the left side of his cerebral hemisphere. Subsequently, it was found that his long-term memory was intact, but the short-term memory was seriously affected. Okay, so long-term memory was intact, but the STM was seriously affected. So he could remember things from his childhood, what he did in his 6th birthday, but then he couldn't retain the information. What did he do just 15 minutes ago? He couldn't remember that. Okay, so now, how is it possible? But the stage model suggests that informations are committed to the LTM via STM. But in this man's case, the STM was affected, but his LTM memory was normal. So how is it possible if information travel that way only? Okay. So several other studies have also shown that memory processes are similar irrespective of whether any information is retained for a few seconds or for many years, and that memory can be adequately understood without positing separate memory stores. So now if you have watched that movie Ghajini, so you will remember that the short-term memory was affected, but he could remember all the memories from past. Okay, so the same example is given here. So it is actually the whole concept is taken from real life stories only. So if even though the STM is affected, the long-term memory can still, we still can have the long-term memory. It may remain unaffected. Okay, so now this is one model of memory. Now because of this, several that there are new experiments which contradict what has been proposed in the stage model. So there are new models which have been proposed. Okay, so we will talk about these new models as well. Okay, but for today's class, I am ending the presentation here. For tomorrow, I'll be talking about some other models of memory. Okay, thank you and have a nice day ahead.